Namaste. Today I'm going to do a video about Joss paper, give you a little information about its history, its origins, what it can be used for today, and how I use it to honor my ancestors. I have some notes in front of me that I will be referring to from time to time, and I'll also be showing you the burning of the ancestor paper, so you can stay tuned for that. The origin of Joss paper dates back to a period that is known as the Six Dynasties in China, spanning from 220 AD to 589 AD. That time period actually consisted of three separate dynasties: the Jin Dynasty, the Three Kingdoms Dynasty, and the Southern and Northern Dynasties. Now, what they used to do was carve images of deities, immortals, various gods onto wooden blocks, then use those blocks to impress those images upon paper, which was then burned as sacrifice to these immortals, gods, or deities. The Taoist tradition indicates that we are all born with a certain amount of wealth that comes from the treasury of the spirit world that we can use to help us through this life once we assume a human form from spirit. The catch is that we must replace this wealth that we are given throughout our lifetimes, or we could face disastrous consequences in the form of illness, catastrophe, or something similar. Okay, now they didn't always burn paper because paper hasn't always existed in the world. So the folklore surrounding that is that a man named Kai Lun, who invented paper in the year 105 AD, he had this great but different invention, and people really weren't vibing with it. They didn't understand it. They didn't like it. They didn't want it. Sometimes change is hard to bring about when people are resistant to it, right? So his wife and him concocted this plan to fake his death. Now, they actually went through with it. He was buried underground for 7 days, breathing through a paper tube that stuck out of his casket. And the whole time, his wife basically burned up his whole supply of paper. She lamented that he killed himself because he was sad that nobody wanted his product. And then after 7 days, he pops out of the ground, right? So everybody's like, oh my goodness. And it's this big thing, and they owed it, or rather attributed his return to the fact that the paper was burned. I don't know how true that legend is, but sounds about right. Kai Lun definitely is documented in history as the man who invented paper in ancient China. But again, I do not know about the validity of that legend. Let's see. So we have different types of Joss paper. Here is a particular type. You can see the gold leaf on it. This type would be given to gods, immortals, or deities. Then we have this other type. Probably can't really tell, but this is actually silver on here. This is paper that you would burn to your ancestors. Then I have some loose money. Came in a large pack that those other things came in. Okay, just had my video stop on me, so excuse me. Try to edit this little piece out, and we're back again. And you can see the back of the paper, as I showed in the other video, shows the temple. It does say Hell banknote. I've been told that this is specifically for ancestors that have recently passed because of the belief that people travel through hell directly after death, or hell is really a Western concept. So in Asia or ancient China, we would just think of it as the afterlife, or maybe limbo, or waiting area, judgment area, perhaps. And I have other money that says Heaven banknote on it. And this you would just burn for people during your normal ancestor rituals, people that you want to remember. Reasons that people burn ancestor money today, again, to honor the gods, deities, ancestors. The Jade Emperor, the guy that's on the money, is the one who facilitates the offering making its way to your loved one. He is the owner of all the money everywhere in the world, regardless of the denomination. So, even if you're burning monopoly money, I would send a shout out to the Jade Emperor because he can make that work for you, okay? Many times people often leave offerings for him. I have set him out a cup of sake from time to time, or some food if you like. You can research the Jade Emperor and find out about his personality and see what triggers your intuition. It's also, the joss paper is also used to supplicate angry or restless spirits sometimes, with the thought being that, they don't have anyone to come on their behalf and make these offerings. And so they are basically living in the afterlife in misery. I mean, can you imagine walking through this earth as a person that is forgotten by everyone with no resources and no help? That would suck. So, I mean, and that definitely seems to be the way that, the belief is set up about the ancestors. If we do not do this for them, then who will? And, just imagine that there are ancestors out there who are being neglected, not being paid homage to. If you have some spirit activity in your house, I'm not saying this is the only solution, but it could definitely be worth it. Since I've started burning this stuff, I've had very little incidents, which I will talk about in another video, so to speak. Um, Really not troublesome to me, but troublesome to other people, and have definitely cut that down by 150% altogether. Uh, so that could be a thing. I mean, if you're having some trouble, you want to pay attention to your ancestors and see what's going on with that. This is all based on the idea that the afterlife, or wherever we go when we die, is a replica of the world that we've left behind. And so we make these offerings to ensure their continuous good fortune, um, and to remove any cosmic or karmic debt that they may have gathered during their lifetimes. And now I'm going to show you what I do when I make it rain on my ancestors. I love this part. Okay, so I've got my setup here. I'm not going to burn these things. I actually had this sitting on my ancestor offering table, and I'm going to return that. Mostly because I've never seen this burned. In every picture that I have found so far, it's just sitting on the table, so I'm going to leave it like that. Since I already opened this, I'm taking this Hell banknote. I folded it over, and I'm just going to set fire to it. Okay. Now, traditionally, from what I've seen, you would hold it in your left hand, but since I'm holding the phone with that hand, then we're just going to drop it. I'm going to switch hands. If I can get a nice fire going, I don't have to keep doing this. I don't have to keep relighting it. So here's what I'm going to do. See if I can get that to catch. Shoot. Now, as you can see, it is burning. I'm Gonna catch the other paper. Woo! Yeah, baby. And that's the burning of the ancestor paper. You need to watch it until it burns out completely. As I have been instructed, the eyes are the windows to the soul, gateway to the subconscious and the inner being. So, in order to make sure this makes it to your ancestors, you watch it until it burns. Then you can burn as little or as much of it as you can or as you like. I have seen some denominations with astronomical amounts. I have not been able to get my hands on anything like that just yet. So far, I've only seen those on the internet, and they cost a little bit more than 69 cents a packet. This is 69 cents a packet, has about 80 to 88 sheets in here. No, it says 80 sheets. Can you see that? It says 80 sheets. Don't be surprised if you see green, see something like a green tint flashing through as you burn the paper. That is the presence of the Jade Emperor, and he has heard your request and is passing your money on to your beloved ancestors, which is cool to know. Now, as always, be careful. Fire is cool, but it will burn. So just watch yourself and take care. Happy ancestor veneration. Leave me any comments, questions, subscribe, share, like, and all that good stuff. Thank you for watching. Peace out.